After finishing a video about paddling from Sebago to the sea, I realized there's one topic that needs some more attention. And the portage around Cumberland Mill Dam in Westbrook is already difficult enough, but now there's a second portage that's just as important and even more dangerous, and that's around the world's biggest strainer, which goes about 1 mile down from the put-in, from shore to shore, completely blocking the Presumpscot. It's about 0.25 miles up from the Route 302 put-in. And you can see there's lots of trails that go kind of all around that area, but there's no other way to get around Cumberland Mill Dam. It's a big, scary, dangerous dam, and the only way to portage around it is on the street. As you may recall, the PRLT recommends that you put your boat on a car and drive down to the Route 302 Sebago to the Sea trailhead, and I really did not want to do any car portages, so I found a way to pull it through the town. It didn't seem like too bad of a portage pulling the boat through the town. I found a pretty easy place on Warren Avenue to get into the water, but after about a mile, you run into an enormous, extremely dangerous strainer. So I went back today to see if I could find a way to portage around the strainer that was easier. I went to the Route 302 put-in and paddled upstream. The strainer was even worse than I remembered. I count over 20 big trees, interlocking side to side, completely blocking the river from shore to shore. Everywhere on the sides where the trees go, it's straight up and down steep cliffs. All strainers are scary. This one is particularly scary. It's like a team of Microsoft beavers got together and decided it'd be a good idea to completely dam the Presumpscot River. I've never seen anything quite like this. It was a terrible spring for trees. There was giant ice storm, then gale force winds, then more ice storms. This is always a bad area, but now, do not go anywhere near the upstream side of this strainer unless you're a squirrel. So the last time I was here, I went to the shore on River Right, which was steep and extremely slick, and it took me over 30 minutes to pull my boat along that shore. I kept falling in the water and drag it between two trees on the shore. So I figured there must be some other way. And sure enough, on River Left, about 20 yards before the strainer, there's a nice, reasonable little hill on the shore. You have to look closely for it, because otherwise it's just steep cliffs. But if you find the nice little path, it goes straight up to the Sebago to the Sea Bridge Street Trail, which is a big, wide, easy trail, and you can hike straight down it to the other side of the strainer. Look how wide that strainer is. As you're going down the trail, look out for a big old tree that looks like it's saying stop here. There's a little path that you can follow straight down to the river. I found this little way was easier for me, but there's another path too that goes right near here to the river. And this one brings you right down to a pretty easy, sandy, muddy climb down to the river. Really wasn't bad at all. And from this point on, although there are many more fallen trees all up and down, there are no more hyper dangerous strainers of death. And it's pretty clear sailing all the way down to Casco Bay. So to summarize, to portage around the deadly strainer, start about 10 to 20 yards before the strainer, looking for a nice easy path on the left. Most of it is steep, slick cliffs, and if you miss it, it'll be a lot harder to get up. But if you find it, go right up to the well-maintained Sebago to the Sea trail, hike just past the strainer, and then same thing, look for a nice, simple, easy path on the way down. Again, if you miss it, it'll be a little bit harder to get back in the water. But there is one nice beach with nice soft sand clay. The other important thing is how to portage around Cumberland Mill Dam itself through the streets of Westbrook. I learned all the different ways that you can portage around Cumberland Mill Dam by trial and error, and getting a lot of mud on my shoes and fighting the ticks and the mosquitoes. And here's what I found. After you paddle through downtown Westbrook, you come to these really ominous floating orange buoys that warn you not to go under the two bridges that would lead you to imminent death inside the SAPPI paper mill. Instead, they recommend that you take out here at a baseball field called Fraser Field, and in the parking lot load up your car and drive your boat 3 miles to the Route 302 put-in. But if you want to find the way to do it by hand, by foot, I found that you can pretty easily just drag your boat up to Cumberland Street and then make a left on Warren Avenue. And once you get to Warren Avenue, you come to the decision point at the SAPPI Mill entrance. Here's what I found. Of these 3 possible routes, the first one that you come across is at the edge of the SAPPI wastewater road. I went to the gate at the edge of the wastewater drive, and the attendant was very friendly. When I asked where the portage was, he said it was just after the SAPPI property border. It seems to be the old route that people talk about, the official SAPPI Dam portage, which crosses the small street and the property of Phoenix Cycle Shop and goes through some brush. And everybody that you hear who's done this says the same thing, that it's difficult brush to go through, and then a straight, steep drop off a cliff to get to the water. That in days past, there did used to be a decent portage there, but that it is no longer so. And don't forget, this is somewhere around the area where there was a giant landslide a few years back, and there was a lot of erosion here, and it's not surprising that the landscape would change. But when I talked to the people at the motorcycle welding shop, they said that this was really not an option anymore, but they did recommend one of the 2 other options further down Warren that I found is the best. It starts around number 73 Warren Avenue at Tri-Tank Welding. There is a clearing and access maybe for water pipes or something like that. And it has a grass path that is pretty easy to follow, and it leads to a pretty simple climb down the hill to the river. The other option, which the guys at Phoenix Motorcycle Welding recommended, was to go down and follow the power lines. There's a clearing that follows the power lines starting at American Tire Distributors, which is listed as number 765 Warren Avenue. Don't forget the numbers change precipitously at this point. When the town changes from Westbrook to Portland, the numbers go from 3 up to 765. And it certainly would be a possibility to follow this paved road down towards Vin's Repair and to the radio stations at the end. There are signs everywhere that say private property, do not enter. I think it's probably okay to follow the road at least part ways, and then to follow the power lines all the way straight to the river. Some of these areas were very thick brush, and I'll show some video at the end of me trying to get through this way. It's kind of hard to know where you are, but this may turn out to be a good way as well. So for now, I recommend following Warren Avenue up to about 73 Warren Avenue at Tri-Tank Welding, and then following that clearing straight back to the river.
city, boy. We'll find it. We'll find it.